Well, hey, welcome to Home Groups. My name is Jason.
And I'm Luke.
I didn't. Well, hi, everybody. My name. See?
Yeah.
Is that what I said?
No.
I was talking about.
But he was saying.
This is the worst. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Home Groups, where we apply the message we heard this Sunday at Freedom Valley.
He got it right.
Yeah, this week we're talking about being set apart because that's the series we're in right now at Freedom Valley. And being set apart means that you have a specific purpose.
Yeah, being set apart, it's like being, the way Dad said it this weekend was, it's like being from a different drawer. Like you keep the stuff you eat with over here, and the stuff you put in the laundry over here, the stuff you use to clean stuff over here. It's all separate spaces for different uses. We're set apart for God's use.
Yeah, if you have a toolbox, you keep your screwdrivers in one spot and your hammers in another spot. A hammer has a different use than a screwdriver.
Really?
As Christians, Luke is not great with tools, but they do have separate uses. As Christians, we have specific things we're called to do, and we are set apart for those purposes. You have been set apart as holy to the Lord your God, and he has chosen you from all the nations of the earth to be his own special treasure. We are set apart by God to be his own special treasure, and that means there's specific things we have to take into account in our lives. And this first week we talked about
worry. It was on that passage where Jesus kind of gets a little poetic and he goes, do the lilies of the field worry? No. Do the birds worry? No. And he's just illustrating that as Christians we don't have to be filled with worry, but that kind of like messes with us because worry has a weird definition.
How is it impossible not to worry about things? I worry about everything. So we really started talking as a group and as a team, and Pastor Jerry explained this very well, but when you think about worry is to give way to anxiety or unease, to allow one's mind to dwell on difficulty or troubles. That's worry. When you allow your mind to give way, when you allow your mind to focus or dwell on the difficulties or troubles.
Right.
Whereas stress
is a different thing. And as we were talking about it, we realized that's kind of the other end. So stress is a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from adverse or very demanding circumstances. When you're under a lot of stress, your behavior will certainly change. Something about your life should change when adverse circumstances come your way. But it's when you let worry set in and you let it start to control your actions, not just for helpful things, but for unhelpful things. That's when it's a sin or when it messes with us.
Stress is a motivator. You know, you get stressed out when it's time to finish something. And stress can be good, but when you dwell on, focus on, get controlled by your stress, then you've moved into the realm of worry. I actually had a situation like this with one of my youth students recently. She's going through an incredibly stressful situation. Her father actually has an incurable disease that seems like it will eventually take his life. And she's been coming up for prayer about this and wanting me to pray for her father to get healthy. But one day I realized after a month of coming up every week for prayer, she wasn't looking for anything to be other than she thought if she prayed he'd be okay, or if she didn't leave him alone he'd be okay, and it became this I have to, and so we started praying against worry, and we started praying against fear, and we started praying for that so that she wouldn't have to be stuck in that stressful situation.
Because there's a healthy reaction to that news. You know, a family member has a possibly death-causing illness. That means spend more time with that person, build that around your life. But it doesn't mean don't leave your house because you're worried they might not make it from the time you go out to get groceries to the time you come back. You know, it doesn't mean you do things that don't make any sense.
Yeah. You can't be controlled by it. And as we prayed, she started to see that, and she actually went on a trip with us, and on the trip she says, it's really hard being away from my dad, and I want to be there with him, and we prayed again against that worry. And by the end of it, she said, I'm so glad I'm here. And just that small victory was letting go of worry and grabbing hold of something good, even in that stressful situation. Right. You know, stress and worry are different. Worry is described as moving in a rocking chair. You're doing a whole lot of something, but you're not getting anywhere, and that's a really important concept.
it's Mother's Day this coming
Yeah.
week. So like moms always say, I'm just a mom, I just worry. And I think there's a healthy part of being a parent where it's stressful being a parent. So you manage that stress by putting up a baby gate and putting those weird plastic plug things so they can't electrocute themselves and stuff. But
Baby proofing.
Yeah, you baby proof your house. But you don't go crazy and never let them do anything because you don't want them to get hurt. You still let them have fun. And that's the difference between worry and stress.
So, how do you balance stress and worry as a Christian who's supposed to be set apart?
Right.
You know, as Christians, we can't allow ourselves to fall into worry. We can't be controlled by our fears or our stresses. So, in your groups today, talk about what are the stressful situations that you can identify? Because as Jerry said, when you identify it, you have power over it and you're able to take it captive.
Yeah.
So what are some of the stressful situations that might cause you to worry? And how do you prevent yourself from worrying?
Yeah, help each other come up with ideas because I think it's really hard to see it in your own life. You go, well, this is just so I can't stop thinking about this. But someone else can say, well, here's all the stuff you can do. You've already done all that.
Yeah.
Now you can stop worrying. And it's really hard to see that for yourself. But someone else can help you. So try and help each other out that way tonight.
And just getting it out can be a huge step.
Yeah.
You know, so
Right.
so don't
That's
keep it
awesome.
bottled up. Share it in your groups. These are safe places. Thanks so much for stopping by to talk today.
We'll see you next week.
Hey, welcome to Home Groups.